So, good morning, and the session we've got today is the unit is business ethics. My name is Shazia Khan. Last week we did business ethics, and we did learning outcome 1, which was to understand different ethical perspectives in a business. We looked at what is business ethics, so it's really the attitude in which a business is formed and the way in which business deal with the world. When we talk about business ethics, why do you think it's so important?
The attitude is not good toward the workers.
Yeah, it's not good towards people or the ethics towards the workers and things. We also looked at the background and development of theoretical ethical approaches. We also looked at the types of ethics, which is moral objectivism, and we identified things like what is morally right and what is morally wrong. We also looked at consequentialism and the theory behind that. We looked at deontology, which means the duty and logos. We looked at in business ethics principalism. We also looked at what the moral principle of ethics is, the concept of absolute and relative ethics. We looked at absolute ethics, that there's only one truth and a code of conduct which generally people should believe in. Relative ethics we also looked at compare and contrasting absolute and relative ethics. We then went on to look at equal opportunities, and we looked at what things affect a business, in a business, things like employment law, equal opportunities, employment regulations, and diversity. And we looked at why business ethics is so important in regards to an organization and the running of a business. Now we're going to go on to learning outcome 2, which is to understand the business objectives from an ethical perspective. Okay, so here we'll look at what is a code of ethics. So a code of ethics is a tool for achieving standards of ethical behavior within an organization. A written code of ethics serves as an expectation and a guideline for employee conduct. A code of ethics serves as a guide to support day-to-day decision-making at work. It clarifies the vision, mission, and goals of the organization, helping staff to understand how they translate into everyday decisions, behaviors, and actions. A code also serves as a reference tool. It can be used to locate key documents, support services, and other regulations related to ethics and values within an organization. So why is it important, Summit, when we look at the code of ethics for a business or an organization? Why is it important that people follow that?
Builds a good reputation in a business.
Yeah.
And attracts outstanding employees as well.
So is it important to follow these codes of ethics?
Yes, of course.
And do you think people follow it because they feel like they have to follow it, or do you think people follow it because they've signed maybe a code of ethics or something? The whole point is there to support your day-to-day decision making at work. So, it's important that you follow the code of ethics. So we looked at why have a code of ethics. Many consumers feel that businesses care more about profits than workers, consumers, or the environment. That is so true. I think people outside, you, me, anyone, thinks that the business are more bothered about profits than they are about the consumer or the environment. A code of ethics will help a business to define its values and its morals and further its positive public attitude. This can lead to a more supportive environment and an increased level of public confidence and trust among important stakeholders. Why have a code of ethics? A code of organization can help an organization to show customers that it values integrity. you know, that the business is, you know, valuing the customer's integrity, and but also, you know, that it looks after the customers. It there to define the terms of ethical behavior at work. What's ethical behavior at work?
Sorry, didn't get you.
Why is ethical behavior good at work? Why is there need to have ethical behavior?
It creates honesty, fairness, and
Yeah,
be
honesty,
professional
fairness.
as well.
Yeah, it's also you know, you need to work in a professional manner, and also,
Yeah.
you know, guide. You know, you need a guide decision making in difficult situations. A code of conduct. It's a guide for making decision making in different situations. A code of ethics will promote high standards of practice and defy unacceptable behaviours. A code of ethics will provide a benchmark for members to use for self-evaluation, and a code of ethics will establish a framework for professional behaviour and responsibility. You need to be professional to be able to, you know, do your work in a professional manner, and you need to be more responsible.
Mhm.
How will a code of ethics help? An effective code of ethics should clarify any questions employees have concerning the organization's values and expectations. It should help build trust and commitment, and it should help raise awareness of key ethical issues among all the work in the organization, and it should guide decision making and build agreement around vital issues. And it should foster the reporting of misconduct and related concerns, and clarify where employees should go to seek any sort of advice. What should a code of ethics cover? The code of ethics must be based on and express the core values of the organization. The code should explain what is the values and what they mean, and reinforce their importance in the context of the organization and the work it does. Every code of ethics will be different, as it will reflect their company's ethos, values, and business style. Some codes are short and set out just general guidelines, whilst others are large manuals. Because of the code will be read by people at different levels of responsibility and in a wide range of functional areas, the code should be written in plain, everyday language so that the person who's reading it can understand what the code actually means. What will the code of ethic include? Depending on the nature of the business, a code of ethics may include reference to an explanation of the core values, as we mentioned. The core values may be used as key headings for the code of ethics. The responsibilities of management and staff. Why should it include the responsibilities of management and staff?
It values a business.
Yeah, what the responsibilities they have to a business. The legal responsibility. Why do you think that's so important, the legal responsibility?
Legal responsibilities to ensure to run a good business.
Yeah, to ensure that
And
they
to
run
solve
but that they follow the
and to
laws
solve the
well.
problem and to solve the problems as well is a
Yeah,
legal responsibility.
yeah, and also submit to identify that the organization follows the laws in place.
Yeah, yes.
Rules governing behavior, rule governing gifts and the entertainment, the company's policies and procedures on sustainability and other environmental issues, fairness, integrity, working relationships and conduct, confidentiality and reporting and communicating, health and safety, another key really important thing within an organization, equality, discrimination, another element that's very important in any organization, money handling, purchasing, sales, product or service integrity, and corporate compliance. So these are some of the things that a code of ethics may include. Putting the code of ethics together. Step 1, you must consider the organization's mission, values, and goals, including its position on sustainability. Step 2, you must use clear language to make the code user-friendly. Step 3, you must include expectations for general conduct at work, as well as examples of unethical behavior. Implementing the code of ethics. For a code of ethics to mean anything on an organization, has to be willing to enforce it. This usually requires an example of someone being disciplined or terminated for a breach of ethics. A company that wants to uphold strong ethics cannot bend the rules for certain people in certain situations. So it's so important that any organization shouldn't be doing things, you know, that are unethical. Does that happen?
Yes.
Sometimes, yes. Why do you think they bend the rules?
There are no rules and regulations, everything will be good.
Yeah.
Very badly.
But sometimes they will bend them, won't they? Because they may know the person. You know, they may know it might be their brother, it might be their sister, you know, so that's really important when we look at a code of ethics, you know, that the person is following them code of ethics and they're not breaching them. Because, you know, the whole point of a code of ethics is looking at what your ethical views are, the way that the organization should be run. And not because it's a family member, you will treat them any different and you will bend the rules for them. To be effective, the code of ethics has to be more than just a piece of paper. It has to become a way of life in the company culture. And this could include being incorporated into mandatory training for all staff, for example. Codes of ethics. Craft has a simple code of ethics with just 10 short rules of ethical behavior that all employees must follow. The code also stresses that if something seems to be wrong, it should be addressed directly. The code includes a speaking up policy that requires employees to speak up if they are aware of any violations of the code, even those that they have committed themselves. The 10 rules are: make food that is safe to eat, market responsibly, treat people fairly, respect the free market, compete fairly, respect the environment, deal honestly with the government, keep honest books and records, and never trade on inside information, and give Kraft Foods your complete loyalty. So this is one of Kraft's, an example of Kraft's code of ethics. What I'm going to put on now is a video on ethics around in businesses, okay? So we'll watch that video in 1 minute, okay?
Okay.
Let me pause this now. So the video you've just watched was on business ethics, and it was identifying how different companies, you know, use a code of conduct and how ethics is applied in their business. Why did you think what did you get from that video, Sumit?
That video, there
What did you
were
think about
employee
the video?
tension, loss of respect, which were lying to employees, and there were 2 examples mentioned as well. The one was Nike and the other one was about Starbucks.
Yeah. Why do you think they gave you them examples?
The Nike was related to child labor. And in the
Yeah.
Starbucks, there were mentioned about the fair trade agreements of coffee beans, which were not mentioned in that.
Yeah. So did it look at the importance of treating people fairly and looking at how to treat people with respect and things like that?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, it identified that. So it was quite an interesting video about business ethics and codes in regards to different organizations and examples. So now we're going to go on to 2.1, which is to explain how business objectives are affected by ethical considerations. So understanding the business environment, there are many different types of organizations that set up to serve a number of different purposes and meet a variety of different needs. All businesses try to achieve their objective goal, are accountable to stakeholders, they need to be managed, and they need to meet the legal requirements and have a formal structure. Any business involves people and resources to do one of the two things: to make or produce items or goods to be sold, and to provide services to be sold. Understanding the business environment. Types of businesses include sole traders, partnerships, and limited companies, either private limited or public limited. There are small businesses, medium-sized businesses, and large businesses. The type of activity which individual businesses are involved in varies upon their product. There are 3 levels of economic activity. The primary sector, industries that produce raw materials. And then we have the secondary sector, which industries that use the raw material provided by the primary sector, and then the tertiary sector, which is industries such as distribution and service industries. All of the above can both be public and private organizations. Then we've got business sectors, and these sectors which most businesses fall into are private sector, public sector, voluntary sector, and they are also cooperatives. So business sectors, their main purpose. Private sectors are privately owned businesses. They must make a profit. Emphasis is on increasing sales and keeping costs low. This is because the higher the sales and the lower the cost, the greater the profit that is made each year. Public sector, which is state-owned businesses, and they want to keep costs low and get value for money. Most of them are expected to break even. This means that they must not spend more than the money they receive to operate. They normally have a strict budget and targets to meet. Examples include hospital targets relating to patient waiting times, school targets relating to achievement, and police targets relating to solving crime. Then we've got voluntary sector and charities and other organisations aim to raise as much money as possible from donations and other sources and keep costs low. So they have a large surplus. This is spent on supporting the aims of the organisation. For example, Shelter uses the surplus to assist the homeless, and the RSPCA uses it to help animals. Cooperatives do not fall into conventional public or private categories and are not nationalised or state-owned. They pay back a proportion of the surplus generated during the year's trading to their members or subscribers. This can take the form of dividends on profit, interest on shares held, or discounts on future purchases. Understanding the competition. How does the organisation compare to others in the sector? So we've got private businesses, and these compare themselves against others in the sector in terms of whose sales and profits are the highest, or who has the largest part of the market share. We've got public sector organisations, and they compare themselves against each other with regards to such as performance tables. Examples of these are council tax charges, police figures on crime statistics, and then we have voluntary sector. And these organisations compare for performance in terms of the amount of money they raise. The mission and vision statements. Private businesses will mention customers, employees, value for money or profits. State-owned businesses will mention the service they provide as well as the work they do. It will often include statements on quality, efficiency, and customer service. Charitable or voluntary organisations will focus on the services they provide or their arms in helping the needy. Aims, objectives, understanding terminology. So the vision statement sets out the strategic intention of the organisation, what the organisation ultimate aim is. where the organization wants to go and what it wants to do. Do you think the vision statement is the most important statement when it comes to identifying an organization?
Yes.
Why? Why do you think it's so important?
If there is no vision,
Does it
so
identify?
how they are doing the work?
Yeah. How they want to do their work or what they want to do is so important in
Yeah.
regards to a vision statement. Okay.
If they have vision and mission,
Mission
so they
statement. Yeah. The mission statement sets out the purpose of the organization, its overall goal, the organization's basic function in society. Then they have the values, which are the beliefs and ethics that underpin the mission statement or overall goal of the organization, the ideology, which determines the culture of the organization, and then they have the objectives, which are the short-term goals, the targets to be achieved that all work towards the overall goal or mission, and can have organizational objectives and team division objectives. Organizations may have primary and secondary objectives. They may also have corporate objectives and unit objectives to make the organization run smoothly. Organizational responsibilities. Organizations are part of society and are subject to rules that govern their behavior. So they have code of ethics and code of conducts in place. Some of them are rules. Some of them are rules falling to morality and ethics. Responsibilities of organizations include social responsibility, environmental responsibilities, management responsibilities, ethics and business, and public relations and corporate image. 2.2, evaluate the implications for a business and its stakeholders to operate ethically. Audi 2012, page 274 in his book stated, management of an organization has to follow good ethics which have been accepted by the society. However, after some days, the issue in ethics will arise. For example, let's look at Superdrug. It has been noticed that the management system of Superdrug operated by laws of honesty and consideration and were preferred over their competitors. Government is one of the stakeholders of this organization. The UK government has already reduced the VAT of some life-saving drugs. However, it has been observed that the organisation has maintained dual image in the UK. Primarily, they sell life-saving drugs in cheap prices. On the other hand, they have sold the untested cosmetic under the logo British Union for the Abolition of Vivisection. Therefore, the organisation has not maintained proper ethics in their business operation because they've moved away from it. Stakeholders. Stakeholders are individuals or groups who have an interest in how this enterprise performs because it affects them in some way. In other words, they have a stake in the organisation. Stakeholders include shareholders, customers, consumers, suppliers, employees, retirees, competitors, neighbours, the immediate community, the national society, the world society, the chief executive and the board of directors, government and local government special interest groups. There are three types of stakeholders in an organisation. Firstly, you have internal stakeholders, which are employees and management. Then you have connected stakeholders, which are shareholders, customers, and suppliers and financiers. Then you have the external stakeholders, which are the community, the government, and pressure groups. Okay, and what do pressure groups do? What are they there for? What are pressure groups there for? Sorry?
Pressure groups.
Yeah, what do they do? If something is wrong, they demonstrate. Okay, so if you are using animals for makeup testing, they will demonstrate against this product and demonstrate to the public and the government that what they are doing and what they are selling is wrong. So they do demonstrations, pressure groups. They put pressure on the government. Stakeholder conflicts. Each stakeholder will make demands on and have expectations of the organization. The expectations will be expressed through objectives. Sometimes the objectives and expectations of one stakeholder group may conflict with those of another. It is important for organizations to maintain a working balance between the claims of the various stakeholder groups. Sometimes a dominant stakeholder group can impose its demands at the expense of the others. What stakeholder conflicts can think of? Stakeholders and customers. Apart from government customers, customers are also affected by business strategy of Superdrug. The business strategy has expressed the mixed effect in the market. Superdrug maintains ethics by reducing the price of some health and skin products. On the other hand, the organization has sold untested products along with the government logo. And this particular lobby is unethical. You know, if they're selling something that's unethical, then the organization has to be told, because sometimes it is difficult to sell stuff that are not tested with animals, especially for Superdrug with makeup. There are some advantages and disadvantages, advantages and benefits of having a code in ethics in the workplace. What do you think? Why do you think it's important to have a code of ethics in the workplace or in a business? So, mate, why do you think it's so important to have?
Advantages are the business will increase profits.
Yeah. And does it make, the financial side increase as well? Do they get a better financial position as well?
Yes. And the higher
Yes.
level of customer satisfaction is also involved in it.
And what about employees? Do they get high, staff levels, employability?
Loyalty also is there in it.
Yeah, that's true. There are many advantages to having a code of ethics implemented within any organization. Some are obvious and others are less so obvious. When it is implemented well, within any organization, if a code of ethics is implemented well, that can provide, like you said, a huge competitive advantage and result in an upturn in the company's performance, increase their financial position, and also, it's whether having that company, it includes, things like ethics and things like that, improves their environment and their working conditions. There are some of the most important codes of ethics benefits. Firstly, guidance. Guidance is a really important benefit. Guidance helps to steer a company or employee's ethical course of action when it is not obvious or apparent. It ensures that individuals within the organization have a framework that they rely on when facing difficult situations and helps them maintain ethical standards even in challenging situations. So, if you're an employee of an organization, that ethical code will help you identify if, a framework that you rely on, what must you do and what must you not do. It's very, very important. A code of ethics also helps to equate its staff members with their values and company culture and serves as an everyday reminder. This also extends the company's associates, third parties and contractors and even customers. Why do you think a code of ethics is important for third-party contractors for the company and customers? Why do you think it's important for them? Does it show that the company have good values and, they have a good company culture?
Yes. Having a good company reputation.
Yeah, good reputation is important. And also, things like complex, what we talked about earlier, stakeholders, complex government regulatory standards can be tricky to manage, and a code of conduct helps in traversing these issues. For example, in the USA, the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002 requires that all public companies must have a code of ethics in place for all senior financial officers in order to protect the company, its staff, and the customers. So that's really good that, some companies have in place this code of conduct that, it's something by law that they have to follow.
Yes.
So also a code of conduct is important in building like a trustworthy brand. A code of ethics goes a long way for to walking the walk in terms of being a good, honest business, so that customers and colleagues, like you said earlier, Sumit, can understand the transparent values of that company. Because it shows that the company is taking ethical responsibilities, which will it attract more investors? If a
Yes,
company is
if that is illegal.
taking, yeah, if a company is taking ethical responsibility seriously, this will attract more investors and build trust in their brand.
Yes.
Also, having a code of ethics, Summit, do you think it will help defend them if their company has a lawsuit against them?
Loss against them, then it will not benefit.
Yeah, if
the company.
if an employer is suing the company in regards to a code of conduct, is it important to have that in place to show that you followed it correctly? So if someone wants to take the company to court for something they've done, yes, and they don't,
Yes.
and will that be a strong thing for the company if they have a code of conduct in place, code of ethics?
Yes, of course.
If they have to prove to the court that they've got a code of conduct, code of ethics in place, and they've followed it, then the person that's taking them to court will not be able to they'll be able to defend themselves. The company can defend themselves
Yes,
because
company
they
can
followed
defend
the law.
themselves because the company is illegal.
Yeah, because they followed the law.
Yes.
It's really important that they follow the law. And morality and social awareness is another thing in regards to good ethical practices. The main benefit is that if you maintain a high level of moral standards, this demonstrates with actions and lengths to which a company will go to prove their commitment to good ethical practice, which in turn translate into high morale with the staff, investors, and customers. So if you show as a company you have got quite strong ethical beliefs, your staff morale will increase, won't it? And you are supporting the staff and helping the staff.
Yes.
So having a code of ethics is important, isn't it? What do you think, Sumit? Having a code of ethics, do you think it's very important in an organization?
Yes, code of ethics is general in nature and must be
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, because it also builds this relationship between investors, outside stakeholders, with your employees, and it builds this strong connection. Okay,
Yeah.
so some of the references we've got here, yeah, that you can use the
Hello?
Oxford book assignment when you get the assignment session. Have you got any questions?
No?
Hi, Sumit.
Hello?
Sumit.
Yes.
Hi, yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it got disconnecting or something, but have we finished the session now? Did you look at the references I showed? Yeah?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. And we finished the session now. Have you got any questions you want to ask about?
No, ma'am. Everything was okay.
Sure. So the next session is next week, Summit, and it's Learning Outcome 3, which I will see you next week. Is that okay?
Yeah, but on Friday I have a PT exam, so I will be not available in that session.
Okay, but what I'll do is I'll record the session for you, okay?
Okay, sure.
Okay, and then you can have a look at that session next week, okay?
Okay.
Okay, then Sumit, thank you. Thank you for attending today. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your patience. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.